It has moods, it's dynamic, it's changing all the time. It's so large and it's so diverse. I've tracked through just about every part of the Cedarburg Bog, and everything's so different. It's like there's a discovery around every corner.
The bog is an amazing landscape. You go through all these different plant communities until you get to the center, which is a particular landform, a string bog, which is unique to this part of Wisconsin. There are 7 or 8 different kinds of carnivorous plants growing in the bog. 1 pitcher plant, probably 5 bladderworts, and 2 or 3 sundews.
You can see these glistening drops at the tips of the hairs on the leaf, and if tiny insects get caught in that glue, the leaf curls up around the insect and digests it.
The Cedarburg Bog is a state natural area, a program that was actually invented by Aldo Leopold in the late 30s. He was the head of the DNR, and he had 2 areas that he specifically wanted to save, and one of them was the Cedarburg Bog.
I'm not sure that Leopold was really personally all that familiar with the Cedarburg Bog, but the Cedarburg Bog was just well known for its diversity.
10 to 15% of the plants on the plant list here, which is a list of about 375 plants, are at or near the southern edge of their range here in the bog. And we have about a dozen bird species here that typically nest up into Canada, but when they get to the bog on spring migration, they say, "Honey, we're home." My message as the bug lady is that we are surrounded by insects. They go through their daily lives, and we don't know a thing about it. That is a stink bug nymph, and it's just going to keep kind of growing and adding a few parts until it is an adult. That one looks like an autumn meadowhawk. The legs look like they are kind of pale colored. Most of the other ones have black legs.
It's really a representative example of wetland communities that are the original vegetation of Wisconsin.
The DNR administers the bulk of the bog, probably 85–90%, as a state natural area. And UWM has property here and property that extends out into the west side of the bog. The Friends of the Cedarburg Bog is an organization that was formed by people who knew the bog and were in love with the bog to help the 2 organizations that actually take care of the property here to marshal projects that they might not have the manpower or the money to do.
The Friends have a couple of missions. One is to provide educational opportunities that give the general public access to the middle of the bog, and hopefully through learning about it they will get excited about it and join us as members and join us in our efforts, which are ultimately the most important one is to conserve and protect this resource.
One of the main threats to the Cedarburg Bog is glossy buckthorn, an aggressive species of shrub that really likes this kind of habitat. And the Friends of Cedarburg Bog have cleared glossy buckthorn, at least fruiting size individuals, out of almost 600 acres of the bog, which is hand work. It's cutting the shrubs and killing those shrubs. This cattail that we see right here is actually a non-native species of cattail, which has taken over quite a bit of the area around the lakes. Those change the complexion of the bog in terms of it exactly resembling its pre-settlement kind of condition. But so far, they haven't seemed to real drastically impact the diversity of the bog. There's enough native species that are still growing and competing with those non-natives.
Water that does come through the bog runs into Cedar Creek and then eventually finds its way to the Milwaukee River into Lake Michigan. And that water that comes through the Cedarburg Bog is purified by its journey through here.
If the public wanted to come to see the Cedarburg Bog, there are public areas at the north end of the bog off of Highway 33, and there's a nice trail system there, and there's a public pull-off at the south end of the bog, which goes into a little lake called Mud Lake. Nice collection of dragonflies and damselflies here. I still talk to people who have taken pike out of here and some pretty big bass, although I have a feeling there are not many of those.
Over the course of a year, the Friends of Cedarburg Bog and the UWM Field Station will introduce hundreds of people to the Cedarburg Bog along this boardwalk, where you can get to the center of this incredibly diverse wetland, pass through 5 or 6 distinctly different wetland plant communities, and get to the middle without getting your feet wet.
The biggest challenge that we face is that even though the field station has been here for 60 years, it's still a pretty well-kept secret. And the opposite challenge to that is, how do you keep people from loving it to death? You know, we want to teach about the bog, and we want to teach respect and the ethic that goes along with enjoying the bog at the same time. There always are jobs for volunteers around here, and for people to get involved with the board and work on committees and things like that.
My first experience in the bog was going out to cut buckthorn, and it felt real satisfying to do some work to control invasive plants and get connected with people who were working here. And through that, I saw the opportunity to learn about the natural world.
I think what's fun for me, and maybe fun for the people that come into the bog, is we learn a lot of stuff together. You know, maybe I learned it once before, but I can learn it again with them. And so I try to give them an appreciation of the importance of wetlands in general, and just how special the Cedarburg Bog is.
To me, it's just a magical landscape, and I just am so thrilled that I've been able to witness it.